Frogs are croaking that time of the year, beginning of summer. They're all croaking to each other. They come over here. Let's make some little frog babies. True, that's what they're doing. Just frogging around. Beautiful night though. It was 33 degrees today. Beautiful weather. Still about 28 now. Spring has sprung. Hello Tony, here you go mate. You old budgie smuggler mate. Truly beautiful day here mate. 33 degrees. Magnificent. So have you antagonised the little, well, I shouldn't say little ever, should I? The fat man in a can with your lure of enormous wealth? Yeah, have another peanut. Dance, monkey. I've watched him for so long, but I could just about, you could emulate exactly what he would do every day. It would be your privilege to have me here with you, and the only way you love me is to give me money. When you give me money, I know you love me. Hello Kathy, long time no see. We've been very busy actually. We're dog sitting as well. There's not one at the door, normally there'd be one there. And babysitting. One of our kids is in Bali, having a bit of a break. Yeah, it's sad really. I mean, someone who, when you use those words, you're right, spectacle. It's like, you know, you're sitting on your veranda like I'm now, and then there's a car crash. Now I'm the only one looking now, but because the car crash was loud, noisy, everyone in the neighbourhood will go out and have a sticky beak. Oh look, car crash. And that's all he is an ongoing car crash. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Kathy. I know the feeling very well. It's like losing a member of the family. We lost our dog, Pippi was her name, nearly 10 years ago. And we extensions are finished. We will get one or maybe two. We're babysitting 2 chihuahuas now. Yes, Kathy, I know the feeling very well. I think I was heartbroken, and I use those words very seriously. 3 or 4 years, like I just, just missed her so badly. She would come up to me and give you a cuddle, and had the routines, and she'd do the little greyhound race. She was a chihuahua as well. So, and if someone, my son-in-law at the time, with good intentions, wanted to get me a puppy straight away, and I said, no, I can't mate, but thank you. It wouldn't have been the same, it would have been the wrong thing to do. But you'll find a time, everyone's different. You'll never stop grieving though. I still think of her. But there may come a time when you think you need another companion. Won't be the same. A lot of people think that when people get another dog, that it's all the same. It's like the last dog. No, every animal is individual. Very true. They are all individuals, have their little habits and little nuances. A chow lab. No, it's not. It's, you'll know when, and like I say, for me, it will be probably 10 years between having a dog. And I just can't explain it. That's probably the right time. Doesn't mean I forget her, because I get another dog, and you know what I mean. It's very important that you get a bit of space between what you had and what you may get. It's not important at this stage what the other dog may be for you, or when. But you'll know what type of dog and when you feel the need to do it. So you don't have to rush. Maybe get a cat for now, and I'm not being facetious, but that's a different species, and they have different... You don't own a cat, by the way, Kathy. They take ownership of you. Where's my dinner? Now, come on. Oi, you, watching telly. Get in the kitchen. Yeah, we decided we're just going to do a weekly update because things slow down a little bit now. They're digging the footings. They've finished off all the plumbing that's required between the old house and the new one. They're compacting. It's all sand, so there's a lot of work in compaction. But I'm pretty sure tomorrow we're going to have the formwork put up. Because it's sand, they're going to build formwork between the sand and then the footing, and then they'll have Rio bar going concrete for the footings all the way around the whole footplace of the house. And then probably, I'm guessing, 2 to 3 weeks, the pad will be down. So you'll actually see the concrete pad. I know a lot of Americans get confused. Tony knows what I'm talking about. They'll dig in the footings. They've got a big pile of sand in the middle. And I've had a couple of people say, what are you building, a sandcastle? Go, no. What it is, they then put the bricks up all the way around where they're going to do it. The sand that's there, they'll level and compact. And then they will put plastic, Rio, concrete. So the pad is only lifting the height to the whole old height of the house, which is about 1/2 metre, roughly a bit more down the back off the ground. So that's what that sand's all about. But I've had a few people say, well, what do you put on top of the sand? A tent? I said, well, you can do if you want to. But it's easier for people to see it. When the footings go down, I'll show that. When the bricks go up, you'll see that. And then you'll see the compaction and the levelling. And then the concrete slab go on top. Now, even though it's concrete all the way out the back, there is going to be 45mm timbers put all the way through where Jarrah floorboards continue from the old house into the new one. So people say, why didn't you just put boards down? Because most of it's timber floorboards, but 2 of the main bedrooms are going to be carpeted, so it's a lot easier to do this way. But just put that big pile of sand and build the bricks up to the height of the old house and put the concrete down, it's about 30 grand just for that. Things aren't cheap in Australia. And then you'll see things move relatively quickly after that, because it's a double brick. It's not one single brick, it's 2 bricks. It will go up and you'll see the brickwork go up. Windows that we've salvaged from old houses, like 3 of the windows on that side of the house and the new extension are all from the 1930s with Art Deco lead lining around the glass. And then the windows on this side is a big colonial window. It's about 10 feet across, but it's in 3 sections. 2 of the sections either side have the old sash windows that you can open up, just like the old house. They have sash windows. And right down the back, going out onto the al fresco area, if you want to. I'll just call it a veranda, but a big al fresco area. There'd be big, wide French doors. So we looked around for a long time and purchased these things well in advance. So the house is new on the back, but it has a little bit of the old with it. The internal doors are over 100 years old. They come from an old school that was built in about 1890, but we're led to believe these doors were put in around about 1910, 1912. So 3 of the doors inside the internal, which will be the office door and the 2 bedroom doors, are well over 100 years old. So like I say, we like that. Is it eclectic? I don't know. It's just the feel we like. If we hadn't kept this old part of the cottage, we would probably have done things a little bit different. Because we're building on an older building, we're putting some of the old stuff in the new building. So that sort of explains it in a nutshell. Though it's easier to see it on video and understand it as it unfolds. and it's a slow process. When you do additions, there's a lot of things to take into consideration, like the height, and then what you flow through from the old into the new. So I don't expect we'll be finished till February. Maybe even March, depends on how things go. And even when it's finished and the builders walk away, it's not finished. There's lots of sanding to do on the old windows, varnishing, and putting skirting boards down. Lots of things. Yeah, that's in the essence of what it's all about, is to have the atmosphere or the feeling of flowing through the house. You will definitely, if you walk to our front door like here, and then flow through to the back, you'll be saying it's sort of old but new, is what you would say. And that was the intention. And then I've got to build some steps, and then do a bit of landscaping at the back with paving, and probably a pool, because Johnny P wants to come over and he likes swimming in the nude. So we'll just have the JP pavilion with a big black curtain going across, so no one has to see it. But there's no rush doing it properly, if you know what I mean. Just I know what needs to be done, and when you're talking February, if that was when it was finished, as in the builders walk away, there's more work to do. But February we have temperatures about 105, 110, so I'll be working at night time doing stuff, and early morning, because you don't want to work out in that heat. It's too damn hot. It changes fast here. Like you'd only have to go back a week, even just a week, and I was shivering. Today here, Kathy, was 33 degrees Celsius, which is, I'm guessing, 93, 94, something like that. Beautiful though. We love it. I'm sitting on the veranda out here now at the front, and it is still about 25, 26. But we've had some horrid starts in our country for the fire season. We have bushfires all year, don't get me wrong. But at the moment, they're horrendous, and it hasn't even really started. Your video title reminded me of This Sun, Ground Control to Major Tom. Morning, Mr. and Mrs. Seeds. Which video? That's a mighty fine ass old lady right there. That one there. A mighty fine ass old lady. I think the wife is in watching 24 Hours in Emergency. You know, those sort of shows. Red phone goes off. Hello? Yeah, bloke's lost his head. We're ringing him, see if you can fix him. Righto. David Bowie. Absolute brilliant writer, singer. A lot of good songs that aren't just that popular one, like Major Tom. But here's a litany of wonderfully written lyrics in his songs. I mean, he went through that Harlequin period where he was all coloured, lycra and all that sort of stuff. Still wrote some good fine songs though. You know, you know your age when like people like David are gone now. He died. How am I? I'm good, lady. I'm good. I'm just sitting on the porch and a little bit of moonshine. Yeah, so there's lots going on. We're babysitting and dog sitting, which is not the easiest when you're doing all these renos. Acid will do that to you, man. Yeah. Dave, let me in. It's like if you talked about the 80s in general, I think, Danny, late 70s to the late 80s, all music was bouncy and colourful. and some good songs. Don't get me wrong, the 80s were some fantastic songs. But it was a colourful period, like a Cyndi Lauper period or a David Bowie period. We changed from groups, is how I would define this, groups from the 60s and 70s, because groups was what it was all about, into individual artists. You know, your Michael Jacksons came along, all those sort of things. And then we had a plethora, and still do today, which is great, many female singers. Because the truth is, there weren't that many. If you went back to the 80s, you're thinking, well, who was the 80 female singers? You'd be thinking, not many. But now I think it's gone past. I think there are more female individual singers than there are male. Modern music for me is okay. I don't like rap, that's just me. I understand the on the street beat in regards to social injustices and how rap delivers that, but for me it doesn't work as music. That's just me. Hello, what's up? Yes, I'm good. Yes, I just thought I'd ask the question of people if you were asked to live on Mars. To say there was habitable, you could live there. There was oxygen and water and things to do. Obviously very limited. Would you go to Mars? The deal breaker for many people is there is no coming back. There may be for the first few missions, but I think in 20 years' time, when you head to Mars, you become a Martian. It really is pointless bringing, this sounds really cruel, the weight of humans back from Mars when the intention is to colonize. It's like, on the form you could be asked, Danny, okay, you have to go by yourself because you have specialist things that we need, but we don't require your husband or your family, just you. That's a bit of a deal breaker. I'm stupid this morning, so don't ask me any questions. Alexia, is Jojo stupid? Dumb as a brig, like a bag of dead mouse. Yeah, I think the survey that was done was specifically targeted between 25-year-olds and 45-year-olds. Now that's a targeted area because between 25 and 45, you're at your peak physically and intellectually. So that was the age group targeted. And there were some staggering results. It was like, I think it was 10,000 people surveyed. This is going back a few years. 10,000 people were surveyed. And when they eliminated the process of what you can and can't do, and you can't come back to Earth and all that, it was still 2,800 people, over 25%, about 27%, that said, yep, I'll go, and I'm happy not to come back. It's, I think, inherent in humanity to explore. And I think that is the final frontier. What's that? That's an ear. Why is it on the front of your head? Because it's the final frontier. Hello, Illabella. I don't need thumbs up, Jojo. I just want your money. Follow the links in the description. The donation links are there. Anything under $1,000 donated to this channel is appreciated, but however, you will be immediately removed, blocked for life. How dare you donate less than 1,000? That's just how it is. It'd be funny, wouldn't it? Someone gives you $900. Sorry, mate, you're blocked. But I gave you $900. If any of you can find a link in the description or anywhere else on my channel for donations, I will give you $10,000 cash today. Quick look, you might be the first to find it. You'll be looking for a long time. I didn't watch all of them, but I caught a little bit of the piano, Jojo. Is that your niece that was playing the piano? One thing I'm bad at, and I don't apologize for it, it's just that when I watch something, and I find a need to comment, I will. But I'm happy to go to Jojo's channel and just listen to a little piece of music and then leave without a comment. Doesn't mean I'm mean. I think it's a case of, is it relevant to leave a comment? You don't have to leave a critical comment. You can leave, I really enjoyed.
Who you were talking to?
Jojo. Oh, can you see the puppies?
Probably have to bring the phone in.
I don't know if you can see the puppies. Can they see?
Not really through the screen.
Now can they see?
Yeah. That's Penny, and that's Milo.
And it's nearly your
Milo.
bedtime, dogs.
Penny. Oh, I'm dropping Penny.
Kiss. Kiss.
I didn't know you were on there. Just say hello to everyone.
Wife says hello. She
I'm
was
busy dog sitting.
dog sitting and watching emergency television shows. Why is Mrs. Siege in the cave? Because she's a dirty ape. Yes. Dr. Zeus will be doing experiments on her. Yes, they're funny buggers. Just talking about Kathy's loss of a dog, which is very sad. But dogs have this, like I went down the shop today and the missus didn't come, mainly because we're babysitting the dogs and they're a pain to put in their little bags and put in the car, you know what I mean? So I went down. I wouldn't have been more than half an hour. When I got home, it was like all over me for an hour, like they hadn't seen me for a year. But that's how dogs think. Really was the case of, where have you been? I've missed you. And I'm thinking, you haven't got a dog watch, have you? I've only been gone a little while. But when, like I say, when I lost our dog, it was, I mean, even if you get another animal, it cannot replace what you had. It's like if you look at human to human, when you lose someone in your real life, you can't replace them. It's not possible. It's the same with a pet, even though it's a strange word to call an animal you love a pet. But that's what they do. Well, I think anything in life, if you value it, Jojo, cost is irrelevant. And I know you mean that tongue in cheek, but the reward in watching a young woman flowering into prosperity as far as work, education and achievements, man, doesn't matter how much money you spend, it's a great reward. Yeah, ours was sort of bossy to a certain extent. I think I spoke about this about a couple of months ago about how I am going to deliberately, because I used to draw a lot and etch. My grandfather used to etch in charcoal, and I was always fascinated. And I can draw, but I may turn that into painting, I'm not sure. The thing I had a conversation with some of you guys a couple of months ago was about how within us all there is a creativity in regards to, it is reflecting you on canvas or on whatever format you decide to do. And I think I would love to see more people become more creative than destructive. Do you know what I mean? It's like you often can see people who have got obvious talent waste it on negativity. And there is no reward for negativity. Just misery, basically, depression. But I think, like I say, I'm sure within every one of you there's a talent. Like we know Jojo can bounce his fingers up and down on the ivories. probably more so than we'll ever see. You've never seen me play the guitar, though I do. You haven't seen me do any painting or drawing, but I can. Can you do a Bob Ross video? I don't know who Bob Ross is. Give me some cue points. But life doesn't have a script. Life has writers standing on standby for each moment. Because even when something is planned in advance, it doesn't necessarily unfold. I mean, it's horrible to say this, but the funniest thing in life and death that I've seen was seriously a guy who gave up smoking and he was run over by a cigarette truck. Now, terrible at the time. Don't even think I even thought of that at the time. But it happened. The guy gave up smoking and was hit by a Rothman's truck. You took a lesson from someone. Probably what you're talking about, Danny. Oh, I think I know what you're talking about, Ella. But yeah, I suppose what I'm saying is that creativity does not need to be shared. I'm not asking people to share it. I'm just asking them to explore it. Because just sitting online day after day, fighting people, and wait for a little message. Oh, she hates me. Oh, he loves me. Yeah. It's not that important. Even if you did something creative. Even if you went down and helped at a homeless shelter, which is not hard to do. But I just find a lot of things I see on YouTube, people are very shallow. They just want your money. They want to be seen as something they're not. So they're living delusional lives, all for pennies, if you know what I mean. Most of these people that beg for money could earn more money holding a door open at the Ritz. Morning, sir. Thank you. But no, they chase this alluvial celebrity. In other words, on the surface, it seems like they are famous. But in fact, the only part of that is infamy, not being famous. Vinny G's doing okay. It's always a long road. And it's winding after you've had strokes. We were very fortunate to meet and stay with, Blinky came and stayed with us. She's a lovely lady. And the effects of the stroke were obvious still, but she was a trooper. She was fighting through it. She has her own personal issues in regards to health all the way through life. So this is not anything but a road for Vinny. It's a hard road. It's, I'm sure, frustrating. I mean, if someone said to you tomorrow that you can only have half the abilities you had today in movement, you wouldn't be happy. And though he's stoic, and he certainly is ploughing through it, it's a long road. Yes. Yeah, Vinny, I think I understand some of the things he's been through. Obviously, the accident set him back completely in life. And when a man works with a load of other guys for 15, 20 years and then all of a sudden you don't, it's hard. So sort of a forced retirement. So he's taken up the mantle of being online, talking to people. Actually, I often, what's up? I've just read what you wrote. I often dry fret, it's called. You actually just sort of just get, and you just make a little sound for yourself. A bit like a couple of lackey bands on a tissue box. And there's no doubt, even though I'm not the best singer in the world, singing helps you play music. I'm sure Jojo sits at the piano, may not hear him, but in his head he's singing, or just a little bit of a singing going on. I'm probably missing some of the chat. I apologise. I get to see very little. All right. The wife's here now. All get your clothes on. All right. It didn't happen.
I'm not watching or listening. I'm just taking a 5-minute break. Dog, child in bed.
Oh, the dogs have been put to bed. They have their own little tiny cubby beds. Yeah. But I do. I mean, if some of you haven't seen it, but I've been asked about some of the videos I've done in the past, and I've just started putting up a little series called Better Living. And they went up 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, some of them. But some of them are very relevant. The video I'm putting up tomorrow is to do with resources and having the knowledge in your local area about what resources over here. Is there water there? Is there a farm with chickens there? And all these things that you take for granted now, because you all hop in the car now like I do, drive down and say, oh, vineyard, I never knew there was a vineyard there. I haven't got much of a beard at the moment, it's just a little fella. But so it'll be a strange video for people thinking, so he's talking about the end of the world? Or no. You know, if things got tough, it'd be good to know what's around you, is what I suggest. Hannah says, oh, we were meant to be dressed. Hannah, I know you don't know, but in the top right hand corner of my screen is your video. You've put it on by mistake and everyone can see you. But it's okay. We all accept you for who you are. Not all of us can be Bo Derek. I think, and without being flippant, I've probably twice in my life nearly died. Once by being run over by a car, that didn't help. And then I got ill, and I got through that. But you get a few bites of the cherry. The human body is remarkable, because for as much as people would say how modern medicine can do this and do that, the truth is it's Vinny's own body that will repair some of the things that he lost. This is a remarkable machine, if you like. Quite incredible. It's like when you fall ill, medications may attend to some of the symptoms, but they don't fix the cause. That's usually done by the body. You either build antibodies in your system that can reject some of the things that are happening. So the human body is extraordinary. There's no question. Well, that's the public version, Danny. I have the private version, which is the full screen of the shower scene. But, you know, just for YouTube, I thought I'd just cut it off at a certain level. But, of course, I'll send that to you. Just drop your email address and I'll get that to you straight away. No, I don't think Bo Derek could be Bo Derek anymore. Bo Derek reminded me, you know the lady from South Carolina who got on stage in the beauty contest and said, I think that Americans should know where America is on the map, and when they find the map they'll find America. That's why I think Americans need to find a map. Bo Derek for me was a bit like that. Like she was just a pretty bum and face and not much of an actress. But who was listening to her talk? Let's be honest. There's so much that all of us, if I got you now all to stop, take hands away from the keyboard, find a piece of paper and a pen, and write down all the things you want to do still in your life. It would be an enormous list. It'd be at 6 in the morning, I'd be saying, you finished? You go, not yet, no. You'd have 400 pieces of paper filled in of things you want to do, places you want to go. But at least you should have a crack at a few of them. You know what I mean? Whatever you can financially afford, or in your area that you're always meant to go over to that waterfall or whatever, you should do it. Because it's not as if when you get older and you don't move as well that you can do it. Alright, what's up? Have a good one. Check you later, mate. What's a tub? 2 more tubs up. You sound like an Indian punkawala. 2 more tubs up, and I will dance on the little hoop. Well, I mean, I was old then. Hannah says, Hannah says, I'm loving your old vids. You haven't aged one bit. And I said, well, I was always old. Yes. We have a gathering of the clan. Oh, they might have. Soggy bottom girls all love. So here's a question. A lot of people will relate to me is by saying I'm like Gandalf. I have no idea why. However, if you were given a choice individually to become or be an actor or actress, who would it be? Who would you say, oh yeah, I could fill that role? So what is JoJo's assimilation to an actor? I'm thinking, a wife just yelled at Al Capone. I think more like you dirty rat.
The Godfather.
I think it would be more like, this is just my opinion, Jojo. I think you'd probably be a little bit like Robert De Niro. How's that? You talking to me? Yep, I think Robert De Niro would. That's just my opinion. Of course, Jojo may have another one.
Danny J's gonna be a section.
I wanted to be Elvis after he blows up. So you want to be Splatter on the wall. You remember the Python movie Jojo, where John Cleese, as the waiter, leans over to Mr. Creosote and says, just one more wafer thin mint. No, better not. I don't want any more. Back off. No, sir, it is fitting for the end of the meal. Just one more wafer thin mint. All right. That's how it's going to end. Literally. Isn't it funny, hula hoops? Man, they went for a long time. 50s, 60s, I remember. Bit in the 70s, then they died off, and then they came back early in the 90s as a bit of a new gimmick. Hula hoop. Like yo-yos, they come and go. I think the difference today is obviously technology, Soggy. We talk about when we were kids. I mean, I was always outside fishing, just exploring, doing stuff, and I'd get yelled at because I was late coming home. But not today. Kids virtually have some device in their hand, and you say, "How you going?" They go, "Yeah, good." That's it. You don't see them for 10 hours doing this on their devices. Young men and women on their phones. I mean, my daughter will come round and she'll just, because she has a business, but she'll be on there texting away. And I'll say things like, you want a cuppa? No response. I'll say, do you want a cuppa? And she'll just put her hand up and go, that's it. So I get smart now, get my phone out and go, do you want a bloody cup of coffee or not? And I text her, and she's 3 feet away. It's like it's a void where you've got to be in that world 24/7. Yeah, I mean, we used to do all sorts of silly things like jump on the bed, and I used to climb out the window early in the morning to go fishing. Nearly break my ankles. I fell down about 10 or 12 feet. I'm missing some of what Jojo said. We are all actors in our own walk of life. Sometimes we have to take it in order to make another happy for a day. Yeah, I think life is a bit of a show, and each one of us is a story. And that's what I want to do. I haven't done it this week. I was nearly going to go and buy a new computer this week, but we got busy. But when I get a computer and get a little bit of help in setting up a hangout so other people can join, I will only have 1 or 2 people on the panel at a time. Not being mean to anyone else, but I want to listen and hear what stories people have to say. And it's up to everyone individually of how much of their story they wish to divulge or not. But each one of us has a storyline. And even though some of the things we think were mundane in our lives, for other people they would be fascinating. So I intend, it's not going to be an interview, but I will do leading questions and then sit back and listen to people unveil some parts of their story, their life. That for me is far more interesting by a long shot than listening to people argue, rant, scream over each other. Because if someone comes on and they're a pain in the ass, I go, you're gone. It will never be a platform for attacking people. It will never be a platform to just scream and shout. So when you do get invited to come up, if you start screaming and shouting, you're gone. And not being mean, I'm not interested. I don't care if Jan doesn't like Deborah and Deborah doesn't like Sheila and Sheila doesn't like Julie. I don't care. My first experience in bunk beds, I would have been about 10. And I used to sleepwalk apparently. I had this dream that I was falling off a cliff very slowly. And then I hit the ground because I was on the top bunk, and I actually slid off and ploughed my nose straight into the concrete. I thought the dream went for quite a while. Apparently it's only about travelling at 140 kilometres per second. It's only about half a second between falling off the bunk and smacking my head in the ground. So that's my experience of bunk beds. Jojo De Niro. Yeah, it has a certain ring to it. It does. Alright, you remember the water beds? I remember going around my mate's place and his wife said, come in here. And I said, what? She said, look at this, try the bed out. And I got on the damn thing, and I swear I was seasick in about 3 minutes. I said, you sleep on this? She said, yeah, it's got all these baffles in there, makes it nice and firm. And I'm going up and down and like this, and I'm saying, how firm do you reckon this is? This is not firm. And I do remember stories of them leaking. That would always be funny. For many years, we've had good mattresses, but on top we've always, even though you can get pillow top mattresses, you know what I mean, I always put a pillow top of memory foam. And boy, they give you a great night's sleep. Yeah, I didn't like water beds at all. And they used to cost a fortune when they first came out. I always found it funny, people having a garden hose going into the bedroom, filling up their bed. Oh, this doesn't make any sense. But like I say, that's what I have to do in the next couple of years. And I don't want 1 million people watching. I don't care. Just a handful, 20 or 30, that's fine. Getting soggy up here, listen to her story. Your story, I'm emphasising, is your life. And there are things you won't tell. I wouldn't tell some of the things that have happened in my life, but there are things I would, and that'll be the same for everybody. You can pick and choose what you'd like to divulge, and people are interested in your story. Even though, like, it's your story and you don't think it's that interesting, to other people, it is fascinating. So hope to do that. Probably see this extension doesn't allow me much room in the old house to do something like that, but when the office is built, it'll be a nice big office and a new computer, etc. So it may be a few months yet, but if I get the new computer, laptop, maybe I'll start doing them sooner. Do you homework before you swallow, because you never know what you may contract? Is that a Syrian? Because I don't understand the English side of it, Jojo. I get the gist of what you're saying, but I think you've got a few shawarma spelling mistakes through there. I don't understand. I like people's stories when they talk about events, and it's not all about them. It's usually them being in the circumstances of what happened. I remember having a conversation with an old guy whose father, you remember when was it the San Francisco bridge broke up during a wind event? It could have been another bridge, but his father was there at the time. So he was relaying an event of his story, of his life, to do with his father, and it was shocking at the time for all the people involved. Are you going to let your hair grow long once more? Probably. We'll see how things go. I've still got hair, which is good, but it depends. Remember that video I did about the kid flying past without a helmet on? With no lights? That's him, going up the road now. He's going to come unstuck soon. Well, if he falls off, he'll kill himself. I'm sure I've missed some conversations. I apologise. There's Rujex in there. If he is, I say good day. I might have missed him. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, that bet you had with Rujex. Yep, I remember that. Yeah, same kid. I don't mind kids having fun, don't get me wrong. It does bother me. He does it during the day, and there are school kids walking home and old people, and it could kill someone. Yeah, I had a pretty nasty accident on a motorbike once. Yeah, unfortunately, buddy, that affects everyone, not just the kid on the bike. But I mean, the police, they're not that they're not interested, but they've got other shit to do. I mean, chasing a little kid around on a motorbike. But if they could take his bike away from him, that solves the problem. Used to tie their bikes off the roof. A lot of kids still muck around, like hold onto the side of a car or the back of a car with a push bike or skateboard. I think that's been done for decades. Kids like doing that. It does cost some of them their lives. Well, I did see that video of the Tin Can Man shooting. It looked like he was sort of leaning back to do a 3.5 point pirouette dive off a diving board. And sort of something like that. That's not how I was taught to shoot, but they must do things different in America. Can you imagine an old Western movie with the Tin Can Man stance? Don't think many people would watch that particular movie. The shawarma kids in town. Wah, wah, wah. And there's Jojo, Sheriff Jojo, and the shawarma kid. The town thought it couldn't get any worse, but it did. Wah, 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 wah. Wah, 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 wah. Doom, 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 doom. Actually, that was part of the westerns I liked a lot, was the music. Do you remember all them? Magnificent Seven, Guns Over Navajo, John Wayne. You ain't living until you wiped a strawberried ass for 2 weeks. That sounds like a hemorrhagic event. Ooh, ow, ooh. I've used weapons and I have killed things, but on every occasion, without exception, I've eaten them. It's the only time I've ever used weapons, is to catch something, cook it up, and eat it. And I think that's what they were designed for, personally. Yes, touchy subject, gun laws, but I have no problem with people having weapons. I just want to know what they're shooting. I think if we look at society, and the reason I'm doing this little series of videos I'm doing is because, without question, all the hallmarks of a world in turmoil are meeting at the same time, if you know what I mean. It's not a case of I'm saying, quick, build a bunker, hide. What I am saying, we're going to go through a very vicious economic cycle which will affect each and every one of us on every level that we can imagine, like non-supply of some things we would like, less money, 401ks getting screwed again. You know what I'm saying. We've reached that point again. It was, John Wayne's name was Marion. Well, maybe, Soggy, it's not that they've lost the stomach for it, maybe they've got too much stomach. Can't see what I'm shooting now. Bloody hell. May the force go with you, Jojo. Jojo Baggins. Yeah, there's another character you could play. What's that guy's name? Jojo Baggins. Yeah, he's 111th years old. Yeah, I it's like some people say, how could you have the heart to kill something? And I think, well, I deliberately went out to catch a couple of kangaroos. I ate some of it. The dogs ate the rest of it. I could kill hundreds if I wanted to. G'day, High Country. But it only ever... High Country is a great example. He doesn't eat every fish he catches. That's not the point. I used to go fishing with my mates every year for decades, and we would take a new bloke with us every now and then, and he'd be saying, what are you doing, throwing it back? I'm saying, well, we're here all day. There's no rush. Plenty of fish in the ocean. He wanted to keep it all. I'm saying, no, mate. And at the end of the trip, we used to go away for 7 to 10 days. And he'd say, how come we're not taking any fish back? I said, we all take one fish back. We've eaten fish every day we've been here. It's been magnificent. Had a few beers, had a laugh. But we only take what we need, and then next time we come back, they're all here still. Don't you get it? Yeah, I mean, you would know exactly what I'm saying, Hi, about fishing. It's instinctive within us. It's a primordial feeling when you get that fish on the line and you land it. And on occasion you'll eat them. Not many times though, because you are a catch and release type of guy. But if I went with you, I'd be saying, just save me one, or I'll catch one about a pound and a bit. Take some butter, some garlic, a little bit of dill, fry pan. It's within us to be a hunter-gatherer. That's what we do now is relatively new. Seriously, can of beans. Used to be lizard on stick over fire. Rotate and eat. We're not that long away from what that used to be. But, boy, have we changed as a society. You know, everyone And a lot of my channel's to do with, I buy groceries as well. I don't deny that, but I try and eat fresh as much as I can. But most people these days will dial up menu log, knock on the door, here's your curry and rice, thank you very much, in the bin. They don't even own a plate. It's like that's the norm. I can't live like that. I like to produce my food. I like flavours, textures. We don't have to really clean a fish if you gently pan fry it. Just take the scales off, gut it, chuck the whole fish in the pan, bit of butter and garlic. Can't beat it. No, you're absolutely right, buddy. It's quite staggering when you look at the analogies of what your body needs. Not what it wants, but what it needs is very little. We're a species that could eat not even every day. I was saying go back in time a little bit, and you're looking at me and Soggy going and we catch a couple of fish, and we'll get 3 fish, and we have a huge feed. And then we go back to the cave and put on the rock TV, just move a rock from one side of the wall to the other, and then we don't eat for about 2 or 3 days. Then we go and hunt down a kangaroo, have a huge feast, chomp on it, probably have about 15 pounds of food each, and then we don't eat for a week. Now that was normal, but not these days. It's gone past need into want. Oh, I want a pizza. I want that special Kentucky Fried Chicken. And I want everything upsized. That's right. Make it the biggest one you got. And I know friends in America that say, they did a video for me one day, and they had this drink. I'm not killing it. It must have been half a gallon or more of Coca-Cola. It was this big, all right? And yet, on the ad for what they went to buy, the cup was about that big, only about, big as an ashtray. But the guy said, do you want the upsize? It's free today. Yeah, sure. Bucket of Coca-Cola. The biggest thing, without question, is sugar. And you're not going to get a lecture from me. But if you ever Googled some of the things you eat, Google sugar content of, just an example, Fanta. The orange fizzy drink? Just type in Fanta. 1 can, sugar content. And you'll see the results. 13 teaspoons of sugar. However, if I get you in my kitchen and just get a cup and I put 13 teaspoons of sugar in it, hand it to you, you'll be going, what are you, Seeds? What are you doing? Are you mad? Are you trying to kill me? The hidden white death. There we go. Scarlett came up with 13. I knew it. I used to work for Coca-Cola, and they had a Pepsi franchise. 13 teaspoons of sugar. Staggering. But if I said to Buddy, here's 13 teaspoons of sugar in a cup, just knock that back. He'd be accusing me of trying to kill him. But I don't drink carbonated drinks as a rule. If I have a scotch, I might have a bit of Coke with it. I'll be honest, I do that. But generally, you will always see me drink orange juice or milk or water. I drink loads of water. Now, do I like the flavours of carbonated drinks? Well, the answer is yes, of course you do, because they're sweet, tasty, and knock it back. But I'm sure all of you have experienced this on a hot day where you've had a can of Coke, say, for example. Oh, quench me thirst, and then 10 minutes later, geez, I'm thirsty. I really am. I'm going to need another one. Well, there are ingredients, without trying to destroy the beverage industry, that are put into soft drinks to make you want more. Some of that product is also on things like chips and crackers and little bits of that stuff put through all sorts of food that you go, oh, that was yum. I'm going to go and get another one. It's not your natural instinct to eat 7 burgers this big, but they taste good. I'm a coffee drinker, 2 teaspoons of sugar. I don't have any sugar in my coffee at all, or tea. It's fine. I like the flavour of coffee and tea. But if you did, and I know one of the guys that said, do this, and I was only about 30 at the time. I was playing fairly good level of sport, and I've had sports scientists, all that sort of thing involved with it. So he said, I want you just to go and find out all the foods you normally eat now. And then next week when I come back, I just want you to tell me collectively how many teaspoons of sugar you consume for the week. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, a can of this has 10 or 11 teaspoons in it, and that orange drink, even though it looks like it's sugar-free, it ain't. And all these things, and bread and Coke and cake. And I come up with 115 teaspoons of sugar in my normal diet. And I never knew. You're not meant to know. It's like I've warned people before about low calorie products, low fat or 99% fat free. Well, if they take all the fat out of things, what they have to do is try and input some flavour. So they do that with sugar. So here you are thinking health conscious, low fat or no fat. Brilliant. It's going to be good for me. It tastes sweet, even though there's no fat in it. Great marketing, isn't it? No fat, but we won't tell you about the sugar. And you eat the product and think, well, it's got to be healthy because it says no fat. And you are consuming bucket loads of sugar. The reason why, and this is just anthropology, throws it in your face. The closest thing that me and Soggy Bottom in the cavern or cave would find over a year, maybe a few deserted honeybee areas, and we'll find some honeycomb and some honey. That would be about the only thing that we would eat sweet. Some fruits are naturally got sweeteners in them, natural sugars. But what I'm saying is, all this is relatively new to the human species. I don't recall a lot of sugar in my diet as a young fella at all. But it's really been the additions of additive colourings, preservatives, sugar in the last 30 to 40 years. And we wonder why everyone is so big. You should never lose weight at any level. Someone says, take this diet and you'll lose £9 a week. Tell them to piss off. There's no such thing as a diet. Hello, cherries. If I missed anyone, I'm sorry, because the text flies by on my little phone and the wife's in there watching people being cut up in a hospital show. I love honey. I really do. No, it's amazing, a lot of the hidden sugars high. On cigarette packets, and I smoke, it'll say, if you smoke this, you're going to die. And these are the ways you're going to die. But on a can of soft drink or a sugary bun, there's no warning. The biggest killer in the Western world used to be cigarette smoking. But heart disease is second now. Cigarette smoking, I believe, is third or fourth. The biggest killer in the Western world is obesity and all the related problems that occur from it. It's all what I call the silent sugar train. No one ever knows. Go and buy a low-fat or no-fat yogurt, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. When you look down the real bottom bit, it says 40 grams of sugar, but no fat. There's no fat in here. And I've always said, if you ever watch me eat a steak and it's got fat on it, I eat the fat, because that's in its natural end process. With sugar, the body, when it can't use it straight away, converts it to fat. Unfortunately, most of the time it's visceral fat, bad fat. So, and the body doesn't think you're going to feed it again, so it will store as much as it can. That's how we're built. Talking about me and Soggy in the cave. We'd eat for a week, put on all that extra fat, and survive off it. But if you do that, it'd be a pain in the ass to do. But if you could simply make a diary for 1 week and just write down what you eat. Don't even worry about shaking up on the sugar. Just what you normally eat. And then at the end of the week, painstakingly go on the computer and Google teaspoons of sugar in this product and that product. You will be staggered at the amount of sugar you consume, and you do not even know. You do not know. You're led to believe that a low-fat product is healthy. That is untrue. we only eat butter. In fact, I've got a video coming up of how to make butter. I did that about 5 years ago. That's coming out in a couple of days. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. I'm going to show you a video in the future of how to make salt. Even though I don't have much salt, I do use it, particularly in pickling. Yogurt is very simple to make. But I think some of the things I'm trying to say is that it's like if you were driving a car and you got in it and you didn't know it only had 3 wheels. It's a bit wobbly. It's all over the bloody road. What's wrong with this thing? But you keep driving it until you run into a tree. Well, you're dead, but what's the cause of your death? Well, is it ignorance because you didn't check that the car was wobbling everywhere? Was it the manufacturer for only making a vehicle with 3 wheels? The bottom line is we are responsible, not someone else. And I'll argue blue in the face if someone says, well, it's all these manufacturing companies that have produced all these bad things that we eat. And I stop you right there and say, wait a second, let's stop just before you eat the bloody thing, all right? They make it, put it on the shelf, you eat it. And they go, yeah, but they make it, it's their fault. No. I have always asked, if I go to a grocer or I go to a butcher, I say, that beef, where did that come from? And butchers know. They say, oh, that came down from Harvey in the southwest, grain-fed, beauty. No chemicals? No chemicals. But if you don't ask, they're not going to tell you. If you go into your local supermarket, no one is going to know. Hello, Carlos. You go into your local supermarket and ask the same question about, where did that meat come from? The bloke behind the counter say, just the back of the fridge here. No, I said, no, where did that beast grow and how was it looked after? They go, I don't know, I just cut the bloody thing up. They don't need to know, if you see what I mean. Yeah. There's so many different ways I can make pizza base. I've even used yogurt, buddy, which makes it really light, fluffy, crispy. I make all different sorts of bread. But there is a couple of videos I've got about the obvious. One, I did a video years ago called Beans, Bunker and Bullets. And that was never an attack on people who store a large amount of food. It was never meant to be an attack. What it was saying, well, that's a great idea. However, all that food you store should be your supplementary food. Like when none of that's available, you should grow produce, hunt, all these other things, and then say some of those beans from storage go into your meal. In other words, this is a finite resource. Maybe 6 ton of the stuff, but it's finite, it will eventually disappear. The things you produce, catch, hunt or gather are infinite. Oh, that was a recent one, the bunker burger. The wife makes, what do you call that when you make your upside down quiche? Yeah, she makes, it's called the impossible quiche my wife makes. And for 5 points extra, if you spell quiche in the text, you win absolutely nothing, but I want to see how funny some of the answers will be. Quiche. Spell quiche now. Simple words like that stuff me up, I'll be honest with you. I suppose the answer I should give you, Carlos, is I don't really care. But I suppose the mother should look after his child. But however, it's very hard to explain when someone like that living in a tin can has a mother with a penis. Not being funny there at all, but you think you'd have a surrogate mother who had, real body parts? Just saying. Not really called a mother, really, is it? I don't think even Rosie calls herself female or male. She's third gender. But a lot of people in tin can man's life have penises, even those one with dresses on. Strange. It's like watching a never-ending Mardi Gras with a pretend straight guy standing in front of them all. Quiche, I like that one. K-E-E-S-H. Yeah, Scarlett. You are so correct. Quiche orange. I've seen canned bacon actually. It smelled bloody awful. Here's a little trick for you, and I've never done a video about this, but I used to tell you that I used to go fishing for 1 or nearly 2 weeks. What I used to do is have a special esky or ice box, and it would be full of sea salt, half full. And I'd lift up a layer, and I'd put in T-bone steak, layer of salt on top, another section, couple of rump steaks, salt on top. In other words, probably about 7 or 8 good sized steaks in a big container, just with salt. Now, a week later, and it's 30 degree or 90 degrees temperature, I could just reach into that ice box and shake off the salt and wipe it down, put it on the grill and eat it. Because salt will preserve, it dries it out actually to a certain extent, quite nice. But yeah, no, I remember the first canned chicken, a friend of mine, she made it, and she'd only made it the day before. She said, come in and try it. And it just wasn't balanced. It was tender, but it didn't work for me. It's a bit like watching the Rocky Horror Show. You just don't know which one of them are playing Frankfurter today, buddy. Take turns. Bacon donut. Like I say, you can preserve foods. One of the things that you even though I don't use a lot of it, like I just said, even though I explained how I used to keep my meat cured until I wanted to eat it at 30 degrees, 90 degrees Fahrenheit, because salt protects it. It's an old trick an old bloke taught me, and it works. But one of the things we would miss are the simple things. I'm going to give you the best example. You could all drink coffee without milk. You could all drink tea without milk, but it wouldn't be the same. It'd be different and you'd get used to it. But one thing you can't do, and you cannot do this, is that if you want to preserve some foods without salt, very difficult. Imagine salt not being available. And then you can imagine people living in certain countries, and Roman soldiers on occasions were paid their weight in salt as an annual salary. I kid you not. Salt has always been a trading or payment. But how do you make salt? It's really easy. Seawater, evaporate it, salt. If you're clever, while you're evaporating it, you create fresh water as well. Bacon potato leek soup, yum. One of my favourites, as you know, Scarlett. But if you have a limited resource, you have to eat seasonally. You have to eat what's available at the time. And if any of you are fishermen like High is, certain times of the year some species are not available. They go into deeper water, or they basically semi-hibernate and they don't bite. So there are certain things that grow during the year like bananas. In some tropical areas you can have bananas all the time. In my area we can grow bananas but only for the season. So I don't worry about what may or may not happen. I do like to know where my resources are locally. I like to know, do I have the skills and the ability to preserve food? Yes, I do. Knowledge. During times of crisis, it has always been, hello the white two-pack, it has always been the people with the knowledge, not the money, that do well. Money's pretty useless. If I'm living in a community after the breakdown of society, and Hannah says, oh, I've got shitloads of gold and silver, can I buy some of that salt off you? I go, no, I have no use for silver or gold at all. Particularly if you think, what can I do with it? If it's only trading value, the real trading value has to do with products, not coin or notes. That's definitely the statement that I live with. We are really designed to eat the foods that grow in our own climate, within our own seasons. That's how we as a species developed. Something quick, easy one, High. Have you got any potatoes is my first question. It's very important. If you've got potatoes, I've got a meal for you in 15 minutes. I'd eat, Carlos, I eat anything. Would never bother me. Okay, excuse me for ignoring the rest of you. I'm just going to give Hi a very simple recipe. Have you got a cheese grater? Okay, I don't want you even to peel the potatoes. Wash them if they're dirty. Get 2 good sized potatoes, or 3 if they're mediums. Get a bowl of cold water off the tap, fill up a bowl, and grate the potatoes. It's going to take you about 5 minutes. Grate the potatoes into the water. Alright, do all that, and then put your hand over all the grated potato under the bottom and just tip the water out, put some more fresh water in. In other words, do it until you see the water go clear. Alright, and then get a colander and strain them through there, and then get a tea towel, pour all the potato shavings into a tea towel, wrap it up, squeeze it again so it's really dry. Then get a container, put all that in there, get 1 egg, get lots of pepper, a little bit of salt, and about a tablespoon of flour. Chuck that in there. So it's just still loose but sort of sticky. Just a bit sticky. Then get a fry pan, shallow fry. Probably 1/4 inch oil in whatever pan you're doing. Just get a couple of spoons and dollop them into the pan. Alright, don't move them, let them cook, just lift them up a little bit if you're a bit worried. 2 or 3 minutes, turn her over, golden brown. Don't go for the black stuff, go golden brown, that's the way to go. Turn it over. 2 or 3 good sized potatoes will make about 6 to 8 good size, say 4-inch potato pancakes. And then they're all crunchy. You get your spoon on top, you go gluk, 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 crunchy, soft inside, yum. That is a quick meal. I could cook it in 15 minutes. Scarlett could do the same. You might take 20, but I tell you what, Hi, you're going to love it forever. Really a simple dish. Call them hash browns, call them whatever you damn well like. I actually call them mock fish, because how I cook them, they end up looking like battered fish you get from the fish and chip shop. It's really simple. Make sure you strain the gratings so they're not completely dry, but all the starch has been removed and you're just dealing with the substance of the potato. Like I say, 1 egg, tablespoon of flour. If it looks too loose, just put a bit more flour in there if you like. And then little dollops into a fry pan, spread them out to be like discs about that big. Just flip them over. And I've cooked them some days and I've been so hungry, just like you're saying now, that I'll put them on the cloth to drain the fat off, paper towel, and then I'll put a bit of salt and pepper on top. I'm eating them as I'm cooking the other ones. I'm eating them. And then I'll put the other ones in, and then I'll start eating those. And by the time I've finished, I'm just waiting for the last 3 to cook because I've eaten everything else. See, for me, all my kids can cook because I'd stick them in front of a fry pan and do that. I said, look, just be careful, I'm with you. And they'd make mistakes. That's good. Mistakes are only a path to success. And you're great with the peelings. Yeah, you can leave the skins on the potatoes if you want to. You can take them off if you're a little bit delicate, but all the goodness is in the skin, trust me. Music trivia. Which band was Scarlett Popperfield famous for? I reckon Scarlett would be someone like Cyndi Lauper. Girls just want to have fun. Yeah, I'll promise I'll do them again. I'll be doing the trivias and all that. It will happen. I'm using my way through the next few months because we're doing these editions. I think probably the 2 quickest answerers, if you like to use that, it's not really a word, answerers, but we'll go with it, would be Scarlett and Hammond Eggerson. She's a Van Morrison fan. as a kid, young man actually, I just fell in love with the song Eagle Rock. Now listen, dun, 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 and songs like Credence, do, 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 looking at my baby. And an egg on the spud mix, once I've washed it through with water by flushing the starch out, correct? So you've got all your shavings in a pot now that have been strained, just all the potato, egg on top, salt and pepper, tablespoon of flour, mix. It should be tacky and like sticky, and if it's too loose, add a bit more flour. If it's too dry, just add a little bit of water. You could even do a video of this, high country. RV Radio, I'm taking requests live on my radio station. I'd like to hear Edith Piaf 1911 version of I Walk Amongst Them. Just have a look through the archives. Actually, I'd love to go to someone's channel that was like a radio station like that and just hang out for an hour or two saying, can you play that song? Can you do this one? I may do one day, Ella. For me, my guitar is basically for me. And my guitar slowly weeps. Na, 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 na. Da, 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 da. My guitar, da, da, da. Actually, you will find one of me on an old guitar playing with my grandson. Oh boy, that must be 6 years ago. Just mucking around. But like I say, things like that you do for yourself. Coming right up. It's 5 past the hour. RV Radio's in the rit, and we're taking an ad from our sponsor. Have you had your diapers changed this week? Well, Depend diapers are available from RV Radio Station. Only $19.99 free postage. Can you hear the frogs in the background here, Soggy? It's that time of the year. The first heat has kicked in. There's been moisture with rain, and of course they all wake up and say, you want to have sex? You want to have sex? You want to have sex? That's nature, if you know what I mean. So, oh, shut up and see if you can hear them. Yeah, so that's what happens this time of the year. The first sign of heat, and up they pop. We have truly a very strange frog in Western Australia. We have hundreds of species actually, but this one's called the motorbike frog. It's green, and it sounds like this at night time. I kid you not. It's like listening to 9 quackers going down the speedway. It's the reverse here, Soggy. It's after the rain. There's been no rain for a few days, but the heat's kicked in. And that's what also happens here. The flies, the mosquitoes, the frogs, they all come back into existence after winter. I can sit down the river and watch birds and watch fish jumping in the lake, even if I'm not fishing. I enjoy really being near water. I think we're meant to be near. 2 minutes. Talk amongst yourselves. Tidy the room up. Scarlett, go and help High with these bloody potato cakes. I'll be right back. back. Prepping the potato cakes as I speak. Sounds like a plan. Trust me, you'll love them. Like I say, in my household we're called mock fish. I hope that battery charge is working. If not, you'll just disappear shortly. I've just had a shower, and every time I have a shower at night time, frizzes up. Have a good one, Danny. Enjoy your day at work. Hello, Camper John. There comes the kid on a bike again. I went down the other road. He's got to be found face up shortly. Some car will clean him up. Beauty about those potato cakes. They even taste good cold high. A few beers, a couple of wines. Oh, what have we got in the fridge? Half a dozen potato cakes I didn't eat the night before. Yes, I love cheese. I can sit down with a chunk of cheese, crackers, pickles, and just nibble away. Some fresh cut up tomato. Yep, I make cheese. It is easy, actually. All it is, Scarlett, is curds and whey. Nothing less, nothing more. When I was a kid, my grandfather used to make cheese, but I would always have to take the whey down to the pigs. Raise his own pigs as well. Man, did the pigs love the whey. Nothing went to waste there. I don't mind basil. I don't like a lot of it. It can be overpowering. The ones I've grown are very, very strong. So I only have a little bit. So many different types. Thai basil is very nice. My grandfather used to make a very simple, like cottage cheese, which you could turn into cheddar if you wanted to. But he'd always use. He used to make his own apple cider, and so he also made his own apple cider vinegar, Scarlett. So his agent for separating the curds from the whey was using cider vinegar, and happened so far. I used to watch it think, how did that happen so quick? And then you get these little like a Hessian type scoop, and they twirl it around. He used to hang it and he'd come back to it, but he'd make half a dozen of those. Someone said hello to my beautiful Mrs. Seeds as you walk past. That was Soggy Bottom.
Oh, hello.
Hi country. Another thing I like to do is stuffed gourmet potato, which I have made. Cheese, bacon, chive, salt, pepper. Yum. Definitely cream cheese and something like that. Hi, that sounds good.
I'm not ignoring him, I'm just watching a show and keeping an eye on my 3 grandbabies.
Mm-hmm. Is the boy gone to sleep? Mesophilic culture. Professor Scarlett Poppyfield will be giving her seminar at noon. Do not be late. If you're late, you'll have to face her at 4 in the afternoon outside her office. How dare you? Mesophilic. Sound like I'm speaking to an anthropologist. Check out me bones. Yeah, if you can get the spores for the different types of cheese, it helps. One of the old methods my grandfather used to use, he had all these little copper spikes on, imagine a hairbrush but a small one, about that big, on a piece of wood, and he'd had all these copper spikes, and what he would do when his cheese, it was a version of blue cheese basically. All he did was punch holes in them after about a week, and then you'd have these blue veins, which is just bacteria, and away you go. You can make, I probably my favourite, and my wife would never go near it, is a blue cheese. I love blue cheese. It's just got everything in it. It's got the cheesy bit. It's got that tangy flavour of the bacteria. Let's be honest, that's all it is. Or Rockfoot, yes, sounds good. Jojo has been arrested and been charged for being funny. Faces court at 10 a.m. He's pleaded guilty. Thermophilic. We're getting to... Do you realise, Scarlett, that not many people can read past 5 words, 5 letters? Gorgonzola. I don't mind a good gorgonzola. Actually, it's funny how some people spell. It never bothers me. Like people will spell not correctly, but I fully understand what they're saying. And there's no point making a point of it, you know what I mean? Oh, you spelt that wrong.
Yes, you do. You point mine out all the time.
Only when you ask me, how do I spell something, and I tell you. And you said, I thought it had 9 L's in it. No, that would be gorilla. La, 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 la. Yes, rennet. Yep. Which is the inside bit of a cow. You've got to get it early because the calf will get the bloody thing otherwise. It is irrelevant though. If you can understand the context of what people are saying. Limburger. Sounds like a horror movie. Tonight, the movie Limburger will be on. You can get artificial rennet, of course, but I really just like simple cottage cheese. I'll be honest with you. Depends how far you press it as to what you end up with. But I like it sort of sticky and just falling apart. And I'll have that through a salad. I even use it on a pizza. It's like when I made this butter, you'll see the video in a couple of days. It was near the end of the year and they'd ordered too much cream and people didn't buy it. So instead of being $3 a tub, it was like 10 cents a tub. So I bought a heap of it. And butter is very expensive. 250 gram, which is about half a pound, is about $3.50 to $4. And I can make butter when I get the cream cheap for about 10 cents a slab. Yep, a lot of different varieties of goat's cheese in the world, and I don't mind goat cheese. I eat sheep cheese, but reluctantly. I must admit I like the old traditional cheeses. But I've always made my own bread and butter pickles. Bit complicated for the novice, but easy enough when you know what you're doing. Pickled dills, cucumbers, chilies, onions. I love making stuff like that. And it certainly tastes better than what you buy, without question. Goats, I used to have acreage, and I had 3 goats at one stage, and they were the best lawnmowers in the world. Now, I also used to feed them, don't get me wrong, but they would just go through the paddock and clean up all the weeds, not a problem. But you must feed. I had Nubian goats. Is it the one that's go, ah? That's a Nubian, isn't it? You can make your own habanero mango pickles. That's a nice combo. Even peaches and chilies, things like that. Odd foods do work together, without question. Strange how they do. Like if you said mango and chili, for example, people go, oh, totally 2 different foods. It works. The Tennessee fainting goats. We get Nubians in Australia. They're big white goats most of the time, huge buggers. Big buggers and good producers of milk too. Here's one quiz question for you. You've had it before. Depends if your memory's still good. Which country has the most camels? Which country has the most camels? That's right, Scarlett. Australia has 10 times more goat than any other country. Why? Well, the form of transportation back in the early 1700s was by camel, and they brought probably 300 or 400 over, and then they went wild. Now on our roads, I drove recently over from the east coast to the west coast, crossing our great Nullarbor plains, and every 100 mile there's a sign saying beware of wombats, kangaroos and camels and goats and donkeys and wild pigs. There's more signs than you can imagine. But camels, there are millions of them in Australia. We actually have a massive export industry to the Arabian countries of camels. Every year they do a roundup, put 7,000-8,000 on a ship, send them across. Even our first form of communication, which was the across Australia, was laid by teams of camel drivers putting in the cables and posts. My Nubians were black and tan like Dobermans. I've always, my wife wouldn't let me do it now, but in the past I'd raised animals to eat, like pigs. Yep, telegraph. Morse code. Fascinating, the Morse code. Dash, dash, dot, 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 dash, 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 dot, dot, dot. Yeah, they had, I think there's famous explorers, as in at the time, like Burke and Wills, which was an exploration from the bottom of Australia and South Australia to the top in Northern Territory in Queensland, and they got up and they only got halfway back and then they died. But their only form of transportation was camels. I think the name camel train came from Australia, because they used to bring all their goods. Yeah, no, I've never tried camel. I imagine it'd be okay, but tough as buggery, I imagine. I know it's not common for many people in the Western world to eat goat, but it's fine. Goat's good. Pet them. Oh, I see. Not eat them. If I had to, I'd eat anything. If it tasted like crap, but kept me going, I'd eat it. Still said it tastes like crap though. But like I say, I know for a fact, being in the seed industry for a long time, that most people only eat between 7 and 10 varieties of vegetable. And people argue with me saying, oh no, I eat 16. I say, okay, well you eat 16, but on average it's 7 to 10 types of vegetables. And that could be the basics: peas, carrots, onions, potatoes, squash, beans, you know what I mean. And it would round out most people do only eat 7 to 10 types of vegetables. So in any correspondences I have with people who say, instead of getting 200 varieties of my seeds, what do you like eating? And they would say, 7 to 10 types. And I say, how about you get those and become an absolute expert in growing the food you normally eat? And they go, oh yeah, it's a good idea. There's no point people growing artichokes if they don't eat artichokes. Do you know what I mean? Or beetroot if they don't eat beetroot. The most versatile vegetable on the planet without question. In times of gloom and doom, if you've got handfuls of what we call pumpkin seeds, you call squash seeds, they will last for 1,000 years, seriously, and they will produce enough food starch as potatoes would do. And what it is, you can have the seeds for a very long time and use them when you need them. Potatoes, not so much. Potatoes you have to plant, cut, replant, and if they all die off, you've got nothing. But with pumpkins, you can make pumpkin chips, you can have mashed pumpkin, you can just make everything with pumpkin soup. So the truth of the matter, the most versatile plant on the planet for consumption is squash. And even like if you've grown butternut pumpkin, and I know that Scarlett would have, I've kept a butternut pumpkin for about 18 months in a cool, dark place, and believe it or not, good as gold. So you start talking about the versatility. Try and keep potatoes for 18 months. It wouldn't work. But that is the most important seed. If you ever need seed to have food, and that relatively quick time, 12 to 16 weeks seems long, but if you end up with, say, 50 to 60 big pumpkin, you've got a lot of food. Yeah, I used to have marrow as a kid. I'm not that keen on it now. It's just an overgrown cucumber anyhow. Yep, apples are very good. Particularly your tart greens, they last a very long time. Cabbage, yep. But the most versatile by far is the pumpkin or squash. Lasts a very long time. My granddad used to have a cellar where he used to keep the coal and all the bits and pieces he was preserving. He used to hang his, make his own bacon, so he'd hang his meat down there. So sausages, you name it, he used to make it. But sauerkraut's good for your gut, actually, as you know. I eat sauerkraut, but I wouldn't order a big plateful on its own. It's always been a side for me. I love making, I make different sort of very thick soups with swede, what they call rutabago, parsnips. I grew up on that stuff. Swede, parsnips, turnips we call them, they call them rutabagos, but they've all got their own balanced flavour. Yeah, it sounds good, Scarlett. A meal within itself. So you broil it basically. For me, and you're the one and the same as I am, Scarlett, you like to make these things for yourself. You don't really do them for other people. You enjoy the process, and that's what I try to impress on people. If you can enjoy the process and the reward is great tasting food, that's why you do it. You bake it. Oh, I see. Yep, I get you now. Australians don't eat pumpkin pie at all. I'm pretty sure New Zealanders don't either. We have pumpkin soup, we have pumpkin scones, they're yum, I'm sure you've made them. But basically pumpkins are roasted, boiled. You want to make it really fancy, maybe get a nice piece of steak, put that aside, and you get something like sweet potato, and you cut about a 1/4 inch thick slice with the skin on, a couple of those. Other veg, the same, just slices of veg, all right? And then you get a pan with a little bit of oil and butter. You fry the veggies so they're just al dente. You got a big pile of these yummy looking veggies fried. Then you do your steak, and it looks like you're in a restaurant. A little bit of jus. Only roasted. How are we going with the potato pancakes or mock fish? Hi, how are we doing? I know a lot of Americans don't associate lamb as a food, but it makes one of the best broths. There's several different types. I just like making lamb soup. I get lamb offcuts and take all the fat off, gently fry them in garlic butter, add the veg, stock. Yum. Can't beat that. Yeah, I don't think I've had a pumpkin. I think once someone made little green acorn squash for a side dish and it was undercooked. It's not that I didn't like it, it was just undercooked. I always eat my pumpkins, I eat the skin as well. I've always eaten the skin off veggies. Actually, the best lamb chops you'll get, and I'm Australian, but New Zealand lamb is superb. About to serve it up, they look great. I'll give it a first in a sec. Righto. Yeah. It's so simple to make, mate. You'll never forget that now. Have a few mates round thinking, oh, what can I cook? Oh, I've got potatoes. Ella Bella. See you later, Ella. Have a good one. You should do a quick video, hi, of your culinary cooking skills tonight. Call it whatever you like. Call it a high country crunchy burger. Only available in New Zealand. Potatoes, you can do so much with potatoes. It's amazing when you think about it. I remember years ago, Irish lady came round my grandmother's and they made potato soup. It was with bones, bits and pieces, pearl barley and potatoes. And then she just mashed it all up and we got a bowl of this very thick potato soup. It was so yum. Pretty sure she used lamb bones to make the stock. Shepherd's pie, I love shepherd's pie. I think I might make a big pancake. Or boysenberry sounds good. Well, I do know that if the only things you had were potatoes and milk, just those two things, you have every ingredient, mineral requirement for life. In other words, you can survive on milk and potatoes. There are many ways to cook potatoes and to do things with milk, but I think after about 10 years I'll be saying, is there a chance of a damn carrot? But you can. All the proteins, minerals, vitamins are in milk and potatoes. Potato fudge, never had that. Yes, you could. People have. Oh, we've got some magnificent trees. You'd love it here, mate. You already know about Tasmanian oaks, Jarrah, Marri, my state in particular, Western Australia. Just Google Western Australian hardwoods. It'll stagger you. We have lots of people that do what you do, Monchichi. Loads of people. A lot of turners in Australia. Yeah, very sad. I recently was in country where they had masses of deaths due to the potato famine. But there wasn't just one. People think there was a potato famine. It happened several times. It was a disease in the soil that actually did it. That's when a lot of people left for America and Australia and Canada. Several stages in Ireland there was some devastating. I mean, what did the lady say? In one part of the town, about 80% of the people died out at, what was that place on the west coast?
I can't remember.
Dingle. Place called Dingle. Terrible. And in those days, a lot of the crops, root crops, were grown for food for their sheep. And of course, when there was no food, they went hungry and the sheep didn't get fed, so they eat the sheep and there's nothing left. The Irish were lucky in one way. They have fish, not all the time, very rough parts of Ireland, but there were fish and seashells, and cockles, and you name it. But a lot of people did immigrate. Those that died of course, but those that saw that there was no hope left and immigrated to America. That's why America had a lot of immigrants come from Ireland, and so did Australia. Very humble and simple people, the Irish, lovely people. We recently went there and I fell in love with the place. Very friendly, very open people. Call a spade a spade. The frogs are getting up to concerto volume now, aren't they?
Big black spider under our window.
Get it.
No,
Go on.
I'm going to bed.
Get it. How big? 3 feet across. Well, go and get him.
No,
I'll make a video of you killing a spider,
no, because I won't do that.
and then all the Hindus will jump on your back. High Country says it tastes delicious. Was a success. Nice, quick, and easy. Yeah, you'll love that, mate. That's one of those meals that you can have any time you like. But you definitely got to you would have seen the process of all the milky water being strained off. That makes it a bit stodgy otherwise.
I go to bed.
All right, I'll be in.
Put that under there.
Put it under there now, actually. All right, I'll just be another few minutes and I'll be going in too.
Night, everybody. Love yous. Sorry I wasn't on tonight. I was busy doing stuff with the grandbabies and watching my shows.
Yeah. I didn't tell you some things to put in there which you can do next time, but I didn't want to complicate it for you. You can grate, say you got 3 potatoes, grab 1 small onion, grate the small onion in the same mix, maybe a little bit of garlic. I deliberately didn't tell you that, so I didn't want to make it complicated. Just sticking with the potato makes it easy, but the grated onion, whoa, that makes a difference as well. So next time, grate a bit of onion in there, a little bit of garlic. That's after you've cleaned the potato. That works a treat. But I mean, honestly, if you've got any left over and you have them tomorrow, they'll still be yum. They're good packing in your little fishing bag, something to nibble on. When you get really fancy, you put little bits of chili in there as well. Yep, bacon bits, that does the same. But you know, I just kept it simple for high. Not saying you couldn't cook it, but keep it just the process of cooking the potato with the egg and a bit of flour makes it simple. Now you know you can add other stuff to it. That's what recipes for me are like. I'll see something someone does and think, that looks great, but I'm going to take that out, I'm going to add these. But it's the concept of the recipe that I take on board. Yeah, they're perfect. I've taken them fishing. Just chuck them in a bag and they're still crunchy. They're cold, but they're yum. Bit of sour cream's good. Bit of chili sauce as well, of course. So what are all you people up to today? I'm going to bed. But you're just starting your day. I know High's about to hit the sack. Just a quick one, High. How are you feeling? Better? I forgot to ask when you first came in. Yep, just a mild green chilli, or just add a bit of chili sauce into the mix at the start with your egg. Yeah, apple sauce goes well with potato pancakes. Actually, what also goes well, but it's my flavour, a bit of thick mint sauce. Sounds good, mate. Alright, good people, I'm going to shoot off as well. Been good catching up with you all. Just having a bit of a chin wag, bit of a laugh. That's what this format's supposed to be about, and I enjoy your company. So until next time, have a good one. Couple of days you'll be watching me making butter, then salt, but that's in a day or two. Have a good one and enjoy the day, whatever you're doing. Be good to people. Those that are not good to you, just crush them within an inch of their life. If you want to, of course, you could just walk past them, ignore them. That would help as well. See you guys.